synchronicities, signs, and these like little moments of like cards coming in your direction. That is the new language that the universe is using to connect with you. So I'm super excited today because this is what we've been hoping for. This is what we've been working towards, is that the universe communicates with us in a more meaningful, more intuitive, and more high frequency manner. Okay, so the first way that the first type of communication we're going to explore today is synchronicities, which are meaningful coincidences. We're going to explore our intuition, and we're going to be talking about high frequency states as it pertains to psychology, energy, and spirituality. Okay. So I want you guys, either if you're live or watching this as a replay, drop one weird coincidence that you have already noticed this week or today that felt like a cosmic wink. So I just explained one. One was this card on the ground, but another one was I was listening to music when I was in the shower, and the song 500 Miles, and I will walk 500 miles. Well, the part where it says, fall down at your door, da, 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 da. Well, right when that part came on, guess what happened? And I will fall down at your door. The freaking shower curtain fell down. Not at the door, but at my feet while I was getting out of the shower. And I just thought that was a hilarious coincidence, a funny little cosmic wink that the universe gave me in that moment. So if you guys feel comfortable sharing something like that in the chat, please do. If not, well, then continue to listen, because we're going to continue down the rabbit hole of signs and synchronicities and how the universe communicates with us. Before I get any further, though, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, because we are going to be talking all about some really fun stuff today. And the whole point of this live stream today, you guys, is to have a little bit of fun. I can't think of one. I can think of one. Like, how many times this week have I been thinking about you, or you've been thinking about me, and we've called each other? That's a funny little sign in synchronicity. And it's one that like happens almost every day, like several times a day. See, another coincidence or synchronicity. Basically, we're just defining synchronicity as like a meaningful coincidence, like something that goes like, huh, that's funny, right? And it does happen every day, like several times a day. So let's talk a little bit really quickly as like a brief summary of the energy of the last couple of weeks. So first of all, we as a collective of like healers, shakers, empaths, normal human people who are just trying to function in an unfunctioning society, we have been experiencing a sort of heavy clarity, this sort of knowing that things have to change. And we're starting to see our situations without distortion, which is in some ways creating some grief. And not necessarily grief from loss, but grief from truth that things can't continue the way they have in the past. Our nervous system has been recalibrating because our body and our nervous system is adjusting to these new boundaries. And we're seeing these patterns breaking, or these karmic cycles breaking, because what once felt familiar feels intolerable. Okay? You've told the universe during this process, right, during this collective energy, that you don't want guidance through chaos anymore, because that is harmful, it's scary, it's frustrating, it's toxic, right? It's whatever. And because you've made that sort of shift internally, unconsciously or consciously, your energy is shifting so that you're recognizing signs and synchronicities in a gentler way, in a funnier way, in a more open way, so that you're not having like these big tower moments, basically. So because of that, we have this sort of, or we were having this post-release emptiness, which was like, we know something has to shift, we know something has to be let go of, but like we're still kind of resisting it a little bit. We had a major identity reorganization, which is like, who am I now? And who will I be if I'm not that? and a lot of nervous system fatigue, which is just exhaustion from emotionally processing ourselves and everything else that's been going on, and just feeling like I just can't process anymore. We also have experienced a desire for reassurance, which is like we're begging for signs from the universe because we really, really want to move forward, but we're just not sure how. So we're basically like, universe, please tell us, give me a sign. And we're also craving for meaning and direction because we want to move out of these old cycles and old patterns, but like it's exhausting and we're tired and we've been doing a lot of work, right? So tonight, whenever you're watching this live stream, we are taking a short break from shadow work and hard truths and frustrations and overcoming and resiliency. We're taking a break from that. And we're going to take time to celebrate our progress. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to learn some stuff. But remember, we've told the universe we don't want tower moments. We don't want breakdowns, and we don't want these painful wake-up moments. So now the universe is shifting how it's communicating with us through fun, ease, synchronicity, humor, right? And gentle alignment. So I'm super excited about this because I was kind of feeling a little down. I was feeling a little low. And I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about something fun today. And the universe has been playing these games with me all week. And so I want to share them with all of you. And hopefully you'll share them with me too. So remember, you're allowed to feel light. You're allowed to feel like the universe is guiding you. You're allowed to receive signs and synchronicities and guidance and love and compassion. You're allowed to receive that. So after weeks of these major clarity moments, this major release, these nervous system recalibrations, your energy is finally ready for levity, for synchronicity, and for cosmic play. Okay? So if you're ready to release the heaviness, release these sort of exhausting epiphanies, type ready in the chat, because tonight we are shifting into the part of our life where the universe is responding to us again. And we're connected to those signs and synchronicities again. Hello. Yay, I'm so glad you're here. You guys, I haven't seen Hooks in forever. I have been watching your shorts, though. They're really fun. I was like, oh, he got one. He got a fish. Nice. I did. I've been liking them. And I've been watching them twice because that's how good of a friend I am. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. So let's talk science for a second, science and psychology, because you guys know that spirituality without science is just ideas and fun, but we have to back it up with a little bit of research. So let's define synchronicities from our dear friend Carl Jung, who says that synchronicities are just meaningful coincidences without any obvious causal connection. So like we don't necessarily know why we keep seeing a moth fly around our front door based on a real story. We don't know why that's happening, but we keep seeing it every day. And so our brain stores it as like, oh, that's happening every day. I wonder why. Okay. So synchronicities, not necessarily from Carl Jung, but from a spiritual perspective, synchronicities become louder when we're no longer learning from struggle because our nervous system is deactivating. So synchronicities become louder when we allow ourselves to be open to the possibilities of what it could mean. Hopefully you like the way I talk about the science, because I try to make the science fun. So in psychology, our unconscious mind is a pattern-finding fanatic, basically, right? Our unconscious mind loves to take in patterns. It loves to make sense of the things that we see, feel, and hear, that we touch, that we are engaging with. It loves to make patterns of those things. So if our brain is this pattern-detecting fanatic, it basically prefers to have something mean something over randomness or like not knowing what it means. Okay. So like as an example, when we see 111 all the time and we don't know what it means, it bothers us. We don't know why it bothers us. It just bothers us. Well, the reason why it bothers us is because we don't exactly know what it means. We think we know what it means, but we don't know what it means for us. And so because we don't know what the meaning is, we get frustrated and we try to figure it out. So this idea is called apophenia, which is where our brain is perceiving patterns and connections as like random data, right? So I'm seeing 111, I'm seeing 111. Apophenia says I'm seeing that 111 all the time and I'm connecting it to something, but I'm not sure what it is yet. So I'm just storing that data. This mechanism of just like storing the data, storing the coincidences is like a neutral sort of experience. And it creates this sort of superstition or deep insight depending on the context. So like if, for example, 118 for me is my birthday. So when I see 118, I know that something is meant to be. Even if it's something bad, like I know this is like a karmic cycle, or I know that this is something I have to experience in order to evolve or whatever. So that's neutral and also could be superstitious, or it could be deep insight, but it has meaning nonetheless. But you might see 118 and be like, I mean, 118 is cool. I mean, it's a cool day. It's cool numbers. 1 is new beginnings and 8 is expansion, and it could be 10, right? You get to define your own meanings for the synchronicities that you see. Does that make sense? So that's why apophenia gets frustrating for a lot of people, because the perception of us and our realities and what things mean on the individual level changes its meaning based on the context. Okay, so why do synchronicities feel so emotionally charged? Well, you guys tell me, what do you think? Why do you think our synchronicities feel so emotionally charged or like draining or frustrating? Like I'm seeing 111 all the time. Like, why the heck am I seeing this number all the time? Why do we feel so emotionally charged? What do you think? Well, I'll tell you what I think. Because we feel the energy, right? We feel the underlying energy of it, and we're noticing it, and we're trying to make meaning with it, because that's what we do as humans, right? Exactly. Humans are meaning making machines. We interpret events through personal narratives, personal perceptions, and we line up these events with our inner story, right? So our brains are taking in the patterns, our brains are making meaning from those patterns, and the meaning from those patterns is based on our inner dialogue or our inner story or our past experiences. So think about your own life this week. What perceptions did you see that line up with your inner story? And how did those events line up with your inner guidance rather than coincidence? Does that make sense? Oh, okay. No worries. So, like, as an example, the events that line up with my inner story was walking into my office and seeing the playfulness card on the floor and picking it up. Well, my inner story is the cards speak with me. The cards give me meaning, like to situations, right? And I'm asking for signs and synchronicities, and I'm asking for guidance, right? As I get ready to come on live, I'm always kind of like bringing myself to a certain open state for any additional messages or any additional information that I might need to tell all of you. And so when I see this card on the ground, it lines up with my perception that the universe is guiding me and like collecting coincidences for me to tell all of you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you, the viewer, believe in signs? Just curious. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're here, I'm assuming you do believe in signs, because that's what this video is titled. 10. Yay, me too. Also, if you feel guided, type guided in the chat if you've seen or experienced at least one synchronicity this week. I will tell you that I've seen like a bunch of them already today. So it's important to remember that synchronicities occur more in, yeah, I love when you guys do it in the chat. It's always like, "Aw, they listened." Okay, sorry. Synchronicities are, synchronicities increase, that's the word, in post-clarity guidance, okay? So basically what that means is when we're on our sort of emotional journey or a spiritual journey and we have clarity that something needs to change and we know exactly what needs to change and we take divine action to change that thing. Once we start listening to the universe, these signs and synchronicities increase to tell us you've stopped negotiating with these old patterns, like good job, like it's basically a high five. The more we recognize these like universal high fives, the more our perception and awareness of those high fives increase. As our nervous system calms, remember, our intuition increases too. So our intuition is signaling that the universe is guiding us, the universe is supporting us, and sees our effort. So when our identity starts to reorganize during these major clarity shifts, the universe starts to mirror or even enhance our internal frequency, which is how we come into resonance so that we can manifest for new things. So synchronicities basically act as these sort of like orientation markers during identity shifts. So let's say I am, building my business, let's say I'm building my YouTube channel. And as I post new videos, I get more views. And as I get more views, I see that I have 118 views when I look at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, 118 views. That means I'm taking divine action. I'm moving towards my goal. So I just keep going because the universe sees me, it's reminding me, and it's showing me to keep going on my path. That's an orientation marker. So if you've noticed these signs getting louder since you've let something go, or if you can think of a time where you were letting something go and you saw the signs increase, type yes in the chat. So we've talked a little bit about intuition on a sort of scientific level, but we're going to kind of go deeper into it today. So intuition is a dual process perspective, and it's comprised of two separate systems, okay? So system one is sort of more fast, it's more automatic, it is our intuitive processing. Intuition mostly lives in system one, but it's not like random or exclusive. So it's built on everything that we've ever lived, felt, and survived. So because your mind is sort of embodied, more like your mind is connected to your body is part of your intuitive process because you have your gut, you have your heart, the breath, the intuitive feeling throughout our body, like tingling sensations. When we feel yes or no in our body, that's interoception, which we talked about the other day. Your nervous system translates these early signals as guidance. Hold on, guys. I got to open this door for Honey. Or maybe not. Honey, go lay down. Come on, go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. You're going to have to wait. Lay down, honey. Lay down. Goodness gracious. Okay. So, our natural intuitive system is system one. The nature of system one is that intuition is rapid, effortless, and largely unconscious. Meaning it's happening without us saying like, I want to be intuitive. Like it's already happening behind the scenes. And system one handles these patterns and creates pattern recognition, emotional reaction, and gut judgments. Its function is to draw on all of those stored experiences that we've had in our past, all of those associations and any sort of learned irregularities or like any sort of patterns, any pattern at all. And this is when we just know. Like, I just know that person isn't right for me, or I just know I'm going to get the job, or I just know Sarah's going to call me in 45 minutes, right? Whatever it is, it's that knowing that we just know without a conscious reason as to why we know it. The strength of System 1 is that this is quick, in the moment, familiar, and during emotionally charged situations, like that situation we talked about with like somebody swerving into your lane while you're driving. Your System 1 is the version of you, or the part of you, that swerves out of the way to avoid being hit. System 1 reads faces, vibes, and social cues to be able to spot danger, opportunity, and connection before we can explain why. So System 1 is essentially responsible for mirror neurons and being able to determine whether something is good or bad in the moment with just whatever's being presented. But the risks of System 1 being sort of the main intuitive function is that we could become biased, stereotypes might override things, we might become overconfident, our past traumas might take the reins, because these patterns can also become distorted. These experiences can become distorted over time. So on the flip side of that, we have System 2. System 2 is the part of us that we are developing more and more as we practice intuition. So like when we do the intuitive games at the end of every live stream, we're operating in System 2 rather than System 1. Because System 2 is slow, deliberate, and an analytical process, meaning we're thinking about it. We are bringing it into our conscious awareness. It requires effort, consciousness, and reflection. System 2 kicks in when we're doing math, planning, questioning our first impression, when we're processing how we feel about someone or something. The function of the system is that it checks, corrects, and defines and refines any of System 1's outputs if we are in awareness. So let's say somebody's looking at us weird, right? System 1 would be like, that person's looking at you weird because they hate you. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. But that's System 1, right? Because that's a distorted perception that's been stored in the unconscious mind. But we might leave that situation and call up our friend and be like, hey, this happened. Like, I feel like that person hates me. And they might be like, well, why would that person hate you? That seems kind of like strange that person would just see you and automatically hate you for no reason. Well, then System 2 kicks in and it goes, yeah, why would that person just look at me and hate me? Why would that person just like decide that I'm like evil or whatever, right? Like, why would that happen? And then we start questioning it and creating logic in it and override our impulsive reaction to just bias and block. Does that make sense? So because this is more analytical, more logical, and more for long term, it can be a slower and more tiring process. And it can be tied to overthinking and overanalyzing, which can disconnect us. It can disconnect us from our embodied knowing, or our first system, our System 1, which is this like inner knowing that we just know without the evidence yet, right? So it's important to keep in mind that intuition is not an irrational process. It is actually our most rational process because it is a pattern recognition that's happening on the unconscious and the conscious level. So I'm going to probably say this name wrong, but we're going to get through this together. Gerd Gigerenzer's work, it's a psychologist's works, argues that intuition is often fast and frugal reasoning, meaning it's the reasoning that we are doing with the least amount of effort. It's these simple rules that are built from our experience that work surprisingly well, even in complex environments, because what we do is we basically make it so that these patterns all work. We generalize, I think that's the word I was thinking of. Thank you, whoever gave me that word. But we generalize the rules across different situations. And once we do that, it becomes fast and effortless. So when we feel these intuitive hits, our brain likely has recognized a familiar pattern, a subtle cue, meaning like a tone shift or like a side eye or something that our conscious mind has not recognized quite yet. And it produces a conclusion before we can verbalize why we've reached that conclusion. So usually the reason why intuition goes wrong or like doesn't work all the time, right? It's not reliable in a psychology research term, is that the underlying experiences that we have that we're gleaning from or like are in the pattern, they're biased as in like distorted from trauma or past experiences, or they're just simply limited. Like we haven't lived enough life to be able to determine what these things mean. Our intuition also goes wrong because our environment has changed, but our patterns haven't. So let's say, for example, I go to Fiji. I've never been to Fiji. Let's say I went to Fiji. I just got a plane ticket and here I go. I'm in Fiji. And in Fiji, I'm wearing jeans, a long sleeve sweatshirt, and my rain boots. I'd be really hot, especially if I'm there like in the summertime. Because here in Washington, that might be appropriate weather. But the environment has changed, so my patterns need to change. On some days, I feel like I get triggered left and right by little things like that. Totally. I'd be curious. We're going to go deeper into this because I think there is a piece of this that pertains to that, because there's probably something happening on the unconscious level that you're not recognizing, where your brain is going like, ding, right? But it's not translating into the conscious. So instead of taking that intuitive information to the conscious level, the unconscious mind is just storing it and building the like unconscious evidence to support you need to be frustrated, right? So think about it kind of like this. Our intuition isn't like a random mystical glitch. Our intuition is our nervous system and our subconscious pattern recognizing machine working at high speed, high resonance, high vibrational frequency, faster, way faster than our conscious mind can keep up. So from a hypnotherapy perspective, what I tell people is like the brain takes in probably like 6 billion pieces. Okay, I'm overgeneralizing and I'm exaggerating for effect. But let's say the brain takes in 6 billion stimulus per second. That would create a significant cognitive load. So our unconscious mind isn't going to transfer all of that to our conscious mind. It's going to take the most important, right? Like the sound of my voice and the warmth of the room, and if people are walking around behind you. So that's your intuition, right? Your intuition is the nervous system and the subconscious mind recognizing patterns together and making something happen, right? Whether that's an emotional reaction or a physical reaction, whatever it is, it's happening on the unconscious intuitive level. So let's talk a little bit about your body and the somatic aspects of intuition. So your body is a major part of like processing information, right? Like it's not just our brain doing stuff. Our body is a major contributor. Okay. So when the body contributes to decision making, it basically is when the body I got distracted for a second. Okay. When our body is participating in our thoughts or in our thought processes, we oftentimes don't necessarily make meaning from our body sensations, because what we're doing is we're taking meaning from our body sensations without the evidence or the background to make sense of it. And this is what is called embodied cognition research, which suggests that thinking isn't just something in our head, but it's something that our body is actively involved in. And as long as we have all the information or all the stored information, those two things can pair together successfully. But if not, then we have confusion. So posture, facial expressions, muscle tension, heart rate, and breathing all feed information back to the brain that says this is safe or this is unsafe. As an example, if we see somebody with slumped posture, right, mumbling to themselves, we might think there's something wrong, right? We might be like, that person is like in the corner, slumped over, mumbling to themselves. I think something might be wrong. But if we see somebody upright and open, we might feel like they're more approachable. We might go talk to them and say, hey, how's it going? It's good to see you, whatever. This is how our body contributes, our body and the perception of other people's bodies contributes to how we make decisions. So let's go back to this idea of interoception, which is our brain's awareness of internal states. So interoception is how our brain keeps track of the signals outside of the body. Okay? Sorry, that's not correct. Interoception is how our brain keeps track of signals that are inside of the body, like our breathing and our heart rate and our gut sensations, temperature, tightness, and fluttering, based on the perceptions that are outside of our body. Okay, so once again, I'm going to repeat that because even I confuse myself. Interoception is how our brain tracks signals from inside the body, like our heartbeat, our breathing, our gut sensations, the temperature and tightness, that we are perceiving from outside of ourselves. Okay. These signals are shaping our emotional experience, like I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling excited, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm feeling happy. And it makes a sort of intuitive judgment leap, right? So if you're feeling anxious, you're going to say, something's wrong. Something's not right? Because I'm feeling anxious. Or if you're feeling excited or happy or whatever, you might say, everything's great. Everything's in alignment, right? But we don't actually know any of those things. We're making those leaps just based on how our physical body is feeling and telling us we should feel. So this kind of goes without saying and is kind of sort of a side note, but this is why diet is so important. Because when we're hungry, our body naturally goes into anxiety because it needs fuel, right, to function. So if we say to ourselves, well, I didn't eat, my body feels anxious. Well, you don't even say that. We just say, my body feels anxious. That must mean something's off. That must mean there's something in my environment that's not safe. And so we go further down into anxiety. But we don't see the antecedent or the reason why we're anxious, which is that we didn't eat yet, right? So like one of the things that a lot of psychologists talk about is like some of these like disorders like anxiety and depression can be solved through healthy eating versus medication. So that's just like a little side note. Like I'm not diagnosing anybody or telling anybody what to do. If you have a doctor and your doctor gave you something, like listen to them. But just think about your body as being the antecedent for the majority of the intuitive leaps and intuitive judgments that we take. So intuition hits us somatically through our gut feelings, which is like that subtle nausea, warmth, opening, tightness in our gut. Heart flutters, right, which is a shift in our heart rate or rhythm when something matters, when something is salient, which is what that means, right? When something is salient, it means it's important. But our heart rate could shift for good things or bad things, but we don't necessarily have that understanding at this level of the conversation. We also have skin sensations, which is the tinglings, the chills, the sense of expansion or contraction when something is like in our environment that we need to be paying attention to. So think about it like this. When your gut is saying no, it's not just like a thing that's happening, right? When your gut is saying no, it's your brain literally reading signals from your heart, your lungs, and your gut and telling you that there's something in your environment that needs your attention. This felt sense of something being up is your intuition. Hey, welcome back, Ray. Okay, you guys, this is my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing as a hypnotherapist to talk about, and that is brainwaves. We're not going to talk about all the brainwaves. We're just going to talk about alpha brainwaves. So alpha brainwaves are oscillations between 8 and 12 hertz. And they're typically observed, like you can actually observe alpha waves. They're observed when we are relaxed, but in a wakeful state, meaning I'm awake, but I'm relaxed, okay? The role of alpha waves in attention and intuition is that they're essentially filtering and focusing. Alpha wave activity is associated with sensory gating. Okay, sensory gating is where we actually are filtering out any sort of irrelevant external input, and we're enhancing the internal processing. Okay, so think about it just simply like when I'm focusing in, like if I close my eyes and I think, how does my body feel? That is alpha waves. Okay, so let's do this quick little exercise together if you feel like it. In the same way I just described, allow your eyes to close. You don't have to do anything fancy, but just let your eyes close for a second. Give yourself a moment of internal focus and ask yourself this question: how do I feel right now? Allow your eyes to open and put in the chat if you feel comfortable. When you ask yourself, how do you feel? How did you feel? This was alpha waves. Just by taking a moment to focus inward, your brain waves shifted into alpha. When we are in alpha waves, we have an integration of memories, an integration of meaning, an integration of feeling. We enhance our subtle pattern recognition because we're giving our unconscious mind and our physical body a chance to give us information that we're seeking. When we do this, it creates a sort of neurophysiological environment where our intuitive insights can surface more easily, right? Because we've asked the question, we've given space for the question to be answered. And there's a general authenticity because we're asking ourselves and not something else. Okay. Other ways that we enter into alpha waves. We enter into alpha waves when we are daydreaming, when we are like zoning out, when we're maybe even driving. We can enter into alpha waves when we're just like thinking in our brain and we're not focusing on driving. Alpha waves is sort of this relaxed presence, right? It's a relaxed presence of yourself. You are relaxed in your own presence. And when you're in the alpha state, people often report feeling more downloads, more intuitive insight, and definitely more synchronicities and internal alignment. One of my favorite things to do, this is like a super side note for those of you who are going to play the Angelina trivia, is the game that I like to do is I ask myself, like, where in my body am I storing tension? And I give tension a color. So like maybe tension for me is red today. I don't know. I allow myself to close my eyes, going into alpha state, alpha brainwaves, and I identify any spaces in my body that are red. Then I ask myself, okay, well, if my body wasn't tense, what color would it be? And I just heard white. So if I allow those red spaces in my physical body to become white, what happens? This is just a practice I do for myself, and it's a way of connecting with my intuitive mind, my physical body, and releasing tension at the same time. So that's sort of that mind, body, spirit connection. Okay. So now you guys know when we do Angelina trivia, you'll have that answer. Okay, so let's talk brain-body pathways of intuition. So we have the interoception, which is like understanding our internal world, our internal insight, and the vagus nerve. So interoception is the brain's mapping of these internal body systems, and the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in our body, and it carries information from the heart, lungs, and gut all the way up to the brain. And the vagus nerve helps us to basically understand the emotional tone and the intuitive feeling. So it's sort of like the internal translator of what's happening. So we have these neurodynamic pathfinding missions that are sort of the fast integration of the vagus nerve and the interoception connection. So some researchers propose that intuition arises from rapid distributed neural processes, which is interoception, that integrate these multiple data streams that are called neurodynamic pathfinding or fast unconscious integration, which basically means that we're taking in so much information at the same time that our brain has to do something with it. And so intuition is basically this thing where we're taking in all this information and doing something quickly. And that doing something quickly thing is oftentimes the right thing for us in the moment, which means it's intuition. Okay. It's just like another way to define the same information that we're seeing, which is cool, because what that means is different researchers are seeing different things and they're making the same meaning, right? They might get to the same meaning in a slightly different way, but they're all coming to the end goal, which is that it's our intuition. It's our intuitive guidance. So let me ask you guys this question. If you feel comfortable, write it in the chat. Where do you feel your intuition first? Your heart, your gut, your chest, maybe the back of your neck, or somewhere else completely? I'll tell you guys, I feel my intuition first in the right side of my head. And I even pointed, I feel it first over here. That's where I feel it. Okay. So intuition is the clearest when our body feels safe, which is our central vagal state. Dysregulation distorts our intuitive signals because instead of saying we're tapping into all experiences, we're only tapping into the experiences that most relate to whatever it is that we're taking in the moment. Okay. So when we are in intuition, when we are in a calm, relaxed state in our alpha state waves, we're able to have more accurate pattern recognition, more emotional clarity without emotional reactivity. We have interoceptive precision, and we experience higher vibrational states, which allow us to have better intuitive reliability, meaning every single time we pull the cards, or maybe if I pull 10 cards, you might get 7 of the 10 correct because your intuitive reliability is higher in that moment. Your intuition isn't just louder when you're aligned, right? You are able to hear it better, understand it better, but it's also more accurate. You're better able to understand when you have a questioning thought versus an intuitive thought. So let's briefly discuss what synchronization patterns are, because we're going to get what we've talked about so far, I think is really important, but it's not the most important. Okay. We want to understand what synchronicities are. We want to understand our intuitive voice. We want to be able to be intuitively accurate. But more than that, we need to understand synchronicities and how they matter. Of course they matter, right? I'm not going to say, why do synchronicities matter? Obviously they matter because they're guiding us. But how are they guiding us? Are they guiding us to something or away from something? And that's why we need to understand synchronization patterns. Okay. So synchronization patterns are basically when we have 2 or more systems that are showing coordinated rhythms or activity over time. Okay. So I explained to you guys, when I experience intuition, I experience it here, but I also experience it in the back of my neck. And I also experience a calmness or a lifting on my chest. So that's 3 different systems that are showing a coordinated rhythm of activity. It can also be a neurophysiological and behavioral connection, meaning I feel like I'm better able to connect and go inward when I connect with my physical body and I ask intuitive questions. I feel a relaxation or a deepening of my breath when I'm in intuition, and I feel my shoulders relax and move backwards because my posture is better when I am connected with my physical body and my intuitive voice. Okay, so in social neuroscience, studies that use hyperscanning, which is an EEG and an fMRI at the same time of multiple people, they show that people who are in deep connection with each other and with themselves exhibit something called neurosynchrony. And this is when your brain activity patterns are partially aligned with your physical patterns, which is cool. So your heart rate and your breathing become synchronized during sort of shared emotional experiences. So if I tell you guys about the time where I met Honey. So this is an Angelina trivia story. So when I first was looking to get a dog, I saw Honey's picture online. And I was like, no, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to meet her, whatever. So finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to meet her and see if we're a good fit. And when I got there, the people were like, she's pretty picky, she might not like you, whatever. And I was like, well, let's just give it a go, let's see. And as soon as she saw me, her tail started to wag and she lay down at my feet. And she just looked at me like, what took you so freaking long? Been waiting for you, lady. What I just explained to you guys and now you experienced is a shared emotional experience, right? That was an emotional experience for me. And if you were here and you listened and you engaged and you were like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful story, you then experience something called neurosynchrony. You synchronize your emotional space with my emotional space. It's kind of cool. So we also have something called hybrid consciousness. Hybrid consciousness refers to states where individual minds participate in a larger shared dynamic. This is like collective meditations or like group yoga or anything like that. Like a lot of like meditation circles, things like that are all hybrid consciousness dynamics. It requires a collective attention, a collective flow, and a co-regulated emotional state, right? So like as I breathe in, we all breathe in. As I breathe out, we all breathe out. We're all co-regulated together. Research suggests that group flows and collective intelligence enhances or increases when we experience these group meditations or group flows. And people and groups can exhibit emergent properties beyond individual members, meaning I on my own can be highly intuitive, but when I'm around 5 other intuitive people who were all sort of in sync with each other, I'm even more accurate, even more intuitive, even stronger of an empath, because it's not just my energy, but all 5 of our energy, right? So when when somebody else or a collective of people are on the same wavelength, there is a actual measurable synchrony, meaning we can see the intuitive enhancement, we can see the enhanced accuracy. And there is a felt energetic resonance, meaning you can feel the shift. You can feel the higher vibration when you experience it in that sort of group enhancement. So let's get this back to like synchronicity. So this is like when you text somebody and they're thinking of you, or you're saying a phrase at the exact same time, you're reading each other's thoughts, or if you're thinking of a song and you're projecting it at me and I start singing it on the live stream. This is when you feel your mood shift or a mood shift when you or somebody else enters a room. Okay. So who in your life feels like they're tuned in to your frequency right now? Hey, twins. Who in your life feels like they're tuned in to your frequency? Like, who do you feel like calls when you think of them? Like, there's a few people. My mom, my friend Sarah, my dad, my sister, right? They're all people that if I think of them, I know they're going to call me. Okay, well, hi. Make sure you like this video. If you don't stay, at least like it, please. That helps. That helps with the algorithm. So please like this video. Come back to it later. It's got a lot of good stuff in it, I think. Not to toot my own horn. So let's talk about like, how do we know the universe is messing with us or playing with us, right? Because the universe does have a sense of humor. So we have to understand what the signs and synchronicities mean. So first of all, some of the playful signs that we receive from the universe are repeating numbers or angel numbers. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Thanks for coming. This is when we have something called like perfect timing, like when doors are opening right when you decide to act, or people are calling you right when you need them to, or you have this sort of lucky break that matches your recent intentions. This is when songs or phrases or symbols keep repeating themselves, even across different contexts, that like you're seeking guidance for something and these things keep popping up. This is when people or help show up exactly when we need it to. Yeah, that's awesome. So once you set an intention, your brain's attentional system starts scanning for relevant clues to gather evidence to support whatever it is you're thinking. This makes signs more visible without invalidating their spiritual meaning. Okay, so like basically what you're saying is like, I'm asking for a sign from the universe, right? And the universe gives you that sign because you're saying, I am open to receiving that sign. I'm open to seeing that sign if it does appear. And so then your brain starts looking for that sign. Okay. So once we start seeing them, you can't stop it, or it keeps coming. Yeah, it does. It's the goal is to guide us, right? So this is the most important part of the live stream, in my opinion. And yes, I know it was buried in the weeds, but it is the most important thing as we are getting ready to be done with this live stream. This is the most important. Okay. It is important to remember that signs and synchronicities can mean, yes, we're on the right track, but they can also mean, hey, you're on the wrong track. Right? No, not over there, over here, right? Because these signs amplify patterns that we're already aligned with, right? This is why we're always harping on like healing and recognition and stuff like that. So like signs confirm the direction, but we can't replace signs with our own intuitive discernment. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an example here in a second. But really, signs should feel expansive, right? A sign should never make you feel anxious or scared or frustrated, right? Signs are invitations for us, but we always, always, always operate on free will, okay? So just because you receive a sign for something doesn't mean you should do it, right? You should always be checking in with yourself and asking yourself, is this guidance, right? Because a sign should never increase our fear. If it increases your fear, it's not intuition, it's dysregulation, and it's that trauma voice. And if a sign contradicts your inherent value, it's not alignment and it's not a sign. Okay. If you ever receive a sign that's making you feel pressured or rushed or hurried, and it's not like a life and death situation, then it's definitely not guidance, it's fear. Okay. Because we are asking to outgrow and move on from the old ways that the universe gives us guidance. The new guidance we're experiencing from the universe can feel more subtle, elegant, aligned, and yes, silly. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys an example. A few years ago, I applied for this was like 8 years ago. I applied for this job. And it was like one of those jobs that was like, work from home, make 120,000 a year. We'll pay to get you all set up, pay for all your training, pay for all your certifications, everything. And I was like, this is awesome. This is great. So I did this whole interview process, right? But it was weird because the interview process was like never face to face. It was always like through chat, and like I couldn't see them, but it was like always like a chat, like writing. So anyway, and phone calls. Like I talked to people on the phone, but I never saw anybody's physical face. So anyway, they sent me a check, right? And they were like, this is the check that you need to like get the computer, the programs, all the things, just cash the check and, buy all the stuff. And I was like, okay, great. So I got the check and they were like, oh, actually we're partnered with this, this program where, we want you to buy all the things you need from them. So I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And in my head, I'm like, this doesn't feel right in my stomach. in my mind, in my heart, I was like, this doesn't feel right. And they're going, because I was like, well, I should wait for the check to clear because like I just deposited it. It takes a couple days. And they were like, oh no, don't worry about it. You can just do it right now. And they're already waiting for you to send it to them. Like everything's all set up for them to send you everything you need. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And so I went and in my head, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't feel right. But I was like, yeah, okay, like, I guess, yeah. So I wire transferred the money over, and guess what time it was? It was 1:18 in the afternoon. And I was like, oh no. I know what that means. That means I just messed up. I just messed up big. I just got scammed out of thousands of dollars. I just messed up. And there was nothing I could do. I called my bank and I was like, what do I do? And they were like, yeah, we'll try to fix it. Live and learn. It's like, no. And it did. It did get fixed. Everything was okay. I knew that everything was going to be okay because I did see the 1:18. Like, this is a lesson. You need to learn this lesson. But that's what we're talking about, right? Is like when signs are being presented to us, we still have free will, right? We still have the free will to do whatever it is that we're going to do. And I definitely will never, ever do that again. But it was a moment in my life to understand that difference between a real sign, like the sign, the universe dropped me an amazing job where I'm going to make $120,000 and work from $120,000 a year and work from home. That's amazing. It's like, well, wait a second. That's not actually what was happening. You were learning how to not be scammed. Okay. Someday, finding soul purpose and making sure about it without being broke. Yeah. Yeah. Happens to me too, ignoring the signs, intuition, red flags. Yeah. But everything ended up working out in the end. Because after that, I was listening to the universe and I did all the things I was supposed to do. Everything got corrected, the money got returned, but it was scary for a minute. So feel free to type this in the chat if you feel like it. What's one sign that you've been getting from the universe that you're not entirely sure how to interpret yet? Me too. Okay. So how do we respond when the universe gives us these signs and we know that the signs mean something and we're trying to understand them, we're trying to move forward from an aligned space? When we receive a lot of signs from the universe, the very first thing we should do is take a moment to pause. Acknowledge that the universe is giving us a synchronicity and a sign. Ask ourselves, what is reinforcing this sign? Say out loud the aligned action that you think is associated with that sign. So if you feel like the sign that you're being given from the universe is to say yes to an interview, say out loud, I said yes to the interview. See what that feels like inside of your body. Does it feel open and expansive? If it does, then that is a sign from the universe to move forward. If you say no, I didn't, or if your body says no to I said yes to the interview, then you know that that interview is probably not for you, right? The main thing is we don't want to force meaning of our synchronicities. We want these patterns to reveal themselves to us with clarity. By using our intuition and pairing it with logic, that's that system 1 and system 2, by using intuition and logic, we understand how to move forward with better clarity. So remember that responding to synchronicities is how you reinforce the new language that the universe is using to communicate with you, to guide you. So I don't know why. Okay, there we go. So you guys, we are at the 1 hour mark. So we are pretty close to the end. Do you guys want me to finish this live stream? You know what? I'm just going to finish this live stream. I'm just going to do it because we're really close to the end. So there's a positive emotion and a broadening that occurs when we are operating in synchronicity, when we're in flow with the signs that we're being given from the universe. So this broaden and build is a like psychological theory that basically says that positive emotions broaden the momentary thought, action, connection, and understanding, and help us build these long-term resources that enhance our attraction for positive interactions. By experiencing high vibrational states like joy, gratitude, awe, wonder, excitement, we expand our perception of these high vibrational states, which then increases our creativity and our social openness. So, as we increase our vibration with joy, gratitude, awe, and wonder, which is sort of like the inner child work, we allow ourselves to see more sign because our perception is widening of those experiences. So when you're in a positive state, you literally notice more possibilities and your brain stores more patterns. And the more patterns your brain stores of positive interactions, the more you attract those patterns. And this makes synchronicities and these cosmic wink moments more frequent in your awareness, and it makes them more fun, right? Because the more you experience them, the more fun it becomes. There's also flow psychology, which is essentially this idea that when you are in a complete state of absorption in an activity, so like you are perfectly engrossed in the moment, that we experience time distortion, effortless action, and intrinsic reward, meaning it doesn't matter what's happening in our external reality, our internal reality is at peace because we are perfectly engrossed in activity. Like for me, I've been perfectly engrossed in this activity because I love this stuff. This is flow for me. For another person, this might feel like work, but for me, it's fun. So spiritually, flow is more like moving with the universe, being in connection, perfect connection with the universe, rather than fighting against it or pushing against the signs that we're being given or the guidance that we're being given. So many people interpret sort of sustained flow or sustained mindfulness as evidence that we are in alignment or that we're being guided. Okay, so like basically, like the more you experience time distortion, the more engrossed you are in an activity, the more guidance and alignment we receive from the universe. But there's also heart coherence, which is this concept and research that suggests that when we have coherent heart rhythms that correlate with positive emotional states, we have improved cognitive functioning. Meaning, when our heartbeat is not elevated, when we are calm and in resonance with ourselves, we experience like better functioning, better brain functioning, better memory, better experiences, better health, right? All of those things. Now, the interpretation of this research varies, but the core idea is that our regulated emotional states support clearer perception and decision making. And the nervous system regulation also helps us understand that when our nervous system is regulated, we feel safe. And when we feel safe, our intuition is more active. And when it's more active, we listen to it more, and then our creativity increases. So remember when we talk about like going down the line of like catastrophizing? Well, this is the opposite of catastrophizing. This is like going up the line with positive high vibrational experiences. So kind of cool. So let's integrate the psychology and like the mysticism, the spiritual aspects. So psychology is this idea, or psychology suggests that high vibrational states widen our perception, it enhances our pattern recognition, and it improves our intuitive regulation, our nervous system regulation. But on the mystical spiritual side, we say that the high vibrational states tune our energy into frequency where guidance and synchronicities and like cosmic winking is more available because we are more regulated. So write this in the chat if you feel like participating. What emotion makes you feel or helps you feel more connected to your intuition? Joy, gratitude, love, awe, or something else? Hey, soldier token. I think awe too for me. I love like just being in curiosity. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Okay, let's do our closing activation. And then we're going to do some readings, some collective readings, or a collective reading. Okay, here is the closing affirmation. I am aligned. I am guided. I am open to playful, loving signs from the universe. And if you are open to receiving more signs from the universe that are in alignment with happiness, joy, awe, curiosity, type I am open to signs from the universe. Because your unconscious mind is ready to experience signs and synchronicities in a new way that is expansive, that is open, and that is in your highest resonance and highest good. Okay, everyone, that's what I have for you in terms of today's outline. Which I guess I just save. Okay, let's go ahead and how do we feel? Do we want to do intuitive games and then a collective reading, or do we just want to jump to our collective reading since I went a little over an hour? Games. Okay. Hey guys, make sure you like this video. Press the like button. Let me know you like this content, this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because we do all kinds of things on this channel. But today we're just talking about my fun psychology, spiritual merging. Games, and more games. Okay. All right, let's play. We'll play 2 games. We'll do 2 games and then I'll do a collective reading. How about that? Deal? We'll do, I want to do a different intuitive game with you guys today. We're going to do a different game. All right. We're gonna do 2 rounds of this game, and then we're gonna do a game that we usually play. Okay. All right. I have something in my hand. I want you guys to tell me what color, what shape, what texture. Is it hot? Is it cold? What is in my hand? You guys have 30 seconds. And if you guys are watching this as a replay, please put it in the chat. Let me know what you think, because you get to have a say too. I mean, I am going to reveal it here in just a second. Interesting. No. It's not a silver quarter. Cheater. Deducing is not intuitive. Welcome in, everybody. We're playing a couple of intuitive games before we do a collective reading. So if you want to participate, tell me, what do I have in my hand? And if you don't want to play the intuitive game, that's fine. You can just hang out. Make sure you like and share and subscribe if you haven't already. And here in about 10 seconds, I'm going to tell you guys what is in my hand. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. I think that you, the two of you, kind of got the same amount of things. So it is actually a light pink round crystal. So you guys did have quite a few things that you got correct. So good job. Good job. Yeah, both of you. So we had pink, smooth, crystal. I think Sarah said round, smooth. Yeah, good job, guys. All right. Let's play one more game. Okay. Here's the game. This is going to be a different game. Hold on. All right. I have a pad of sticky notes in front of me. I want you to tell me what color is the sticky note, what color is the number on the card, and what number did I write? What color is a notepad? What color is the number? And what number did I write? Anybody else? I'm going to shut this door. Keep thinking. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Ready? The number 3, blue. Ordinarily, it would be pink. And ordinarily, I would only let you have one guess, but whatever. It's my show. I can do what I want. Okay, guys. If you're ready to do an intuitive reading, if you would like a collective reading, if you're ready for that, I want you to type angel. Type angel in the chat. If I don't get more than 3 angels in the chat, I'll just skip the collective reading. Go do something else. That's how I'll know. At least 3 people. I know. I know you did. Just kidding. All right, so I have 2 angels in the chat. I just need 1 more. And if I get 1 more angel, then I'll do a collective reading. Otherwise, we'll just call it a night, yo. All right. It's kind of cheating, but all right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do a collective reading. What do my viewers most need to know over the next 24 hours? What do my viewers most need to know over the next 24 hours? What do my viewers need to know? Ooh. All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask another question that I think is also important. So the first card we have is the hummingbird. The hummingbird is the miracles card, so that's really good. And then we also have the bee, which is community, right? I think so many of us are really like manifesting for our soul tribes and soul communities right now. And like the universe is basically saying like your spiritual community, your soul tribe, your whatever, it starts inside of you, right? Like you are the leader of that group. So allow yourself to bring joy and positivity to every situation in a like logical way, not like in a bypassy way. When you allow your energy to soar and like become contagious with people, you allow yourself to spread the miracle of happiness, and people are more likely to want to be in community with you. I think a lot of us are craving community, but we're not necessarily vibrationally ready for it yet. So we're still working on it. So just keep working, keep doing the work, keep being excited for life because your community is on its way. And a lot of us aren't necessarily open to receive it yet, right? Which is kind of funny. The universe wants me to ask a different question. So I'm going to ask a different question here. You guys let me know how you That was weird. I just picked up a totally different deck. Okay, hold on. I guess I'm gonna ask a question from this deck. Really? Okay. I don't want to use this deck. Okay. What signs and synchronicities does this collective need to be on the lookout for? What signs and synchronicities are telling this group that they're on the right track? What signs and synchronicities are telling us we're on the right track? Okay. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we have the celebration card. So when you feel like you're in celebration mode, like whenever you feel like excited and good, like you're on the right track, when you're celebrating yourself, you're on the right track. That is a sign and synchronicity from the universe. When you feel like emotionally prepared to surrender and release something, like when you feel like you're just done, like you're ready to let the universe take the reins on something, that's a sign and a synchronicity from the universe that you are on the right track. Okay. And when support comes your way, when you have people who are like there for you, who are calling you, who are listening to you, who are just there for you, even when the situation is difficult or whatever, that is a sign and a synchronicity from the universe. Because when we don't necessarily have the support, that usually means that we've done something vibrationally to push people away, right? So this card is saying like people are coming your way to help. Now on the flip side, let's ask, what signs and synchronicities are coming, or what signs and synchronicities are reflective of like being on the wrong track? What signs and synchronicities are reflective of being on the wrong track for my watchers, my viewers? Signs and synchronicities are showing that we're on the wrong track. Okay, I guess I do need to use this deck for that. Sorry, deck switch. Ooh. What signs and synchronicities are getting in the way or saying we're on the wrong path? I guess just two major things: lure of the ego and excessiveness. Okay. So when we feel like we are trying to control something or validate situations, when we just feel like this is for me, right? Like I'm going to be on top. I'm operating in pride or whatever. That's a sign from the sign and synchronicity from the universe, an emotional sign that we are not on the right track. If we're making decisions out of desperation, right, that's another sign that we are maybe on the wrong track. The universe is guiding us to something different. Like my analogy of like, oh, I'm going to have a job where I make $120,000 working from home, right? Because I needed money. And that was like in a way of making money that made sense. And then excessiveness. Abundance is not about having everything. It's about having what's right for you. So when you're trying to have everything, even if it's not right for you, even if it's not meant for you, understanding that excess will never fulfill you. It will surely entangle you in despair. So just remember, you guys, that as you are asking for signs and synchronicities from the universe, to check your intentions. Always check your intentions of why you're manifesting the things you are, how you're manifesting. Pay attention to how the universe is presenting your sign and what it's evoking inside of you when you receive it. Okay, everybody, I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps. You guys let me know in the comments. Remember that the universe is here for your highest good. It is always helping you, always guiding you towards life, towards happiness, towards joy, right? When you listen to the signs and synchronicities, it definitely makes it a lot easier to fulfill your manifestations. I'm Angelina, your spiritual alignment coach. I'm so happy to see you guys all here tonight. Thanks for watching. And I'll catch you guys all on the flip side where your alignment begins. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Stay safe. Bye.